Hey everybody, I'm back to do another vinyl update. No, it's been a while, I think about 2 months. And you guys know how it is, just life gets ahead of you and school's been busy, a lot of stuff to do. But not busy enough to buy records because I got a ton of stuff. And this record I'm just going to limit to some really amazing Impulse records that I bought. Excuse me. Um, one of the record stores in Ottawa just bought a huge jazz collection of over like 5,000 records. There's everything in it from Lexington, like original Blue Note Lexingtons, Riverside, and I've only seen a small part of it, and I'm also I talk quite a bit with the owners, and they cut me a really great deal because they have so many records, and they're trying to get through a little bit of it, and some of the records are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So Impulse are relatively affordable comparatively. So I got a great deal, and they're Spartan Impulse, which is the Canada distributor, but for the money, they're fantastic, and it's really a privilege to own them. So, without babbling on some more, well, one more thing. They're from the I don't know if I already said this, but they're from a CBC record collection, CBC Radio. CBC is Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Those of you that don't know, are still not familiar with that, it's like Americans might not be, or Europeans. That's it's pretty much Canada's like version of the BBC, and yeah, well, budget's definitely not as big. BBC has a huge budget, can put out lots of documentaries. CBC is pretty limited, but still, like, really great to have in Canada. They've done a lot of great things. So first up, Archie Shepp, 4 for Train, and this is Archie Shepp's first album on Impulse. As you can see, this is the only record like this where it has the I guess their filing number stuff, and then right in the top corner there it says CBO FM, which is I forget what the O stands for, but it's something to do with CBC. And yeah, this is Archie Shepp's first album on Impulse. The backstory on this album is that he was trying forever to get a record date, and calling up Bob Thiel, the producer of Impulse, every day. Bob Thiel was not the first producer of Impulse, but there during the really prolific period of Impulse and like output on the label from like 1961 to 67, I want to say. Maybe he left in 1966. But anyways, Archie Shepp was calling him every day trying to get a record date, but he kept on getting deflected by the secretary, and that Bob Thiel was either out or at lunch or something, and so after months of this, one of his friends suggested, why don't you just go ahead and ask Coltrane himself, because Coltrane was Bob Thiel's guy on the label. He best-selling Impulse artist, and Bob Thiel really trusted his opinion and stuff. And in the New York jazz scene, all the artists playing at the clubs and stuff kind of familiarized themselves, knew each other, and so Archie Shepp, he wasn't at this time good friends with Coltrane, but he was at least acquaintances with him, and it's not something he wanted to do, but he sucked up the courage, and then he went ahead and asked Coltrane, And after like getting out his whole spiel on just like that he really wanted to, Coltrane actually said to him, because a lot of people think I'm soft, they try to take advantage of me. And then he took a long, hard look at Archie and said, I'll see what I can do. So next time that Archie Shepp called Impulse, lo and behold, he got a hold of Bob Thiel, and he got a record date, and the only catch was that he had to record for he had to record all Impulse originals, and he already knew about this catch and had been rehearsing with his band some Coltrane compositions, so that wasn't a problem. And at the record date, after playing the first song, Bob Thiel was so impressed that he was converted, I guess, and called Coltrane and said, "You gotta come down here and hear this." And so it was like 11 at night, and then Coltrane raced down. And one thing they like to joke about is that he left without even, was so excited that he left without putting on his socks. And I came down, and then they recorded, he recorded obviously 4 Coltrane tracks, and then he got to put on an original on the album. So yeah, really great record. I also own Mama Too Tight by him, probably my favorite release that I have by him, but this is also a really great record. It's not just, a Coltrane cover. He has his own twist on it, a little more avant-garde, because the tracks that he covers are 4 compositions from Giant Steps. Okay, next up, the man himself. So glad. I've been after these for a really long time, and they've eluded me for the most part, so I finally got a copy of Africa Brass. And this one was still, 3 of these records were still in the shrink wrap, and this was one of them. As you can see, look at that shine. And it's like some marks there, dirt, but that can be cleaned up. Look at the inside. Doesn't that look like hot off the press? So yeah, being radio station copies, I don't know how often they're played, but they're all in excellent, if not like, I'd say near mint shape. And every one of these is mono except for one. And if those of you who aren't familiar, that's the Spartan Impulse label. Red for mono, and black for stereo. Now I was really surprised that when a few months ago I was watching Dr. Deadwax's recent vinyl finds, and he was talking how all Impulse monos are just fold downs from the stereo. And what that means is they recorded with 2 tracks for the stereo for each like speaker, and then they would just like out of that 2-track recording mold it together for like a mono. So basically what that's saying is if you have a stereo Impulse record, you can achieve the same effect of a mono by basically pressing the mono button on your receiver. And that was pretty disappointing. And but like I'd never heard that before, so I did some research, and yeah, that's what Steve Hoffman, the highly acclaimed producer nowadays, has said. But there's also like other speculation out there, because in a talk that Rudy Van Gelder, they did a CD release of Coltrane with sorry about that. First time recording with an iPhone. Coltrane with Johnny Hartman and Fat Impulse record. They released it on CD where they included the mono version and the stereo version. And Rudy Van Gelder talks about the reason that they decided to do this was because the original compositions, like they were mixed in mono. That's how they listened to the recordings. That they also had a 2-track recorder, which he didn't even bother listening to. He just had set up, but mono's what he paid attention to, and then at some point all the mono masters were destroyed at Impulse. So kind of conflicting there because, you know, Steve Hoffman and stuff, and Rudy Van Gelder is the engineer on most of the Impulse records, or a lot of them at least, and so you think you would know what he's talking about. The only thing that he is getting there up in age, and like who knows, his memory might not be perfect, so he might be remembering like earlier times, but I'm not so sure. Like I don't know what to think. I wouldn't be surprised either way. They might be true monos. They might be just fold downs from the stereo. Anyways, Africa Brass, really amazing record. Coltrane's kind of a big band experiment, but done in a subtle way, not like very upfront, like demand and not big band like Ellington or even Mingus. Like, I know those are completely different styles, but it's done in a subtle way, kind of thing. And Eric Dolphy is on that record with Coltrane's Classic Quartet, Jimmy Garrison, McCoy Tyner, Elvin Jones, which all of these that I'm going to show have the Classic Quartet on, except for this one, which doesn't have McCoy Tyner because Coltrane's playing with Duke Ellington and a few members of Duke Ellington's band. Yeah, 3 of the 8 records that I bought, I don't know if I said that, there's 8 Impulses records that I'm going to show, but 3 out of the 8 were still in the original shrink wrap, like Africa Brass. I think I already said that, but so beautiful, just minty, 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 and fantastic record. Probably really a really peaceful record. Great for setting the mood, a romantic evening or something. Not one of my favorite Coltrane records. I think this might be slightly overrated because of the 2 jazz giants meeting together on it, and the opening track on it, In a Sentimental Mood, is as far as I'm concerned the definitive version of that song. It's amazing, and the other songs are great. Don't get me wrong. They're not like out of this world amazing. It's just a really strong, solid album, but not out of this world amazing. And then the last Coltrane record I was able to snag is Impressions, and this is kind of a pieced together from leftover Impulse releases. As you can see on the under, John Coltrane. I know everything's backwards. Sorry, I don't know if it's backwards right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to flip it before I upload it, but it says recorded in 1963. It's kind of misleading because there's only 4 tracks, and one of them's recorded in 1963. 2 of them, Impressions and India, were taken from the recordings at the Village Vanguard by that were done in 1961, and then didn't amazingly didn't make it onto that album, but because those nights at the Village Vanguard were simply amazing. Like I hope one day that they release a box set with they already have the complete Village Vanguard with on CD, but they don't have a vinyl box set release of that, because it's basically my favorite jazz recordings of all time. Next, this was another in the shrink wrap. Yeah, actually 4 of these, 8, because this was another one. Like, look at the gloss on that. Not one defect. It's just like I opened them brand new. Nice gatefold there. Yeah, this is a really great record. McCoy Tyner, one of the classic quartet members. A really great technical player. Had a great career of himself after leaving Coltrane. Some really fantastic records on the Milestone label. This is one of the ones, first one, I think. Maybe not, no, not the first one. I think second one maybe on the Impulse label they released. This is kind of a nice, really, I think I've heard it described as a, you know, that, I can't find the right words, but like one of those coffee table, like, very, if you wanted to like sound like a really sophisticated, smooth, strong album to play, this would be the one to do it. He's got a few monk tunes and just a fantastic record. Probably my favorite of his Impulse releases. Blues and the Abstract Truth. Been after this one. Well, been after pretty much every one of these forever. And you want to talk about lineups. This might have, I'm not saying it's the greatest jazz record of all time. And, I mean, but like, this is probably like one of the most unbelievable lineups of all time. Bill Evans, Roy Haynes, Eric Dolphy, Oliver Nelson, Paul Chambers, and Freddie Hubbard. And it really shows because it's you know, amazing album. I don't know what the deal with this is. I think there was just 2 versions of this release, but there's like this cover, and then there's also one with a head, like a face kind of here. I don't know if that's Oliver Nelson or something, but he's got his hand on his head, and but as far as I know, this is original. Next up, sorry about this, just taking oh yeah, the Black Saint and the Singer Lady. Man, I swear, for about 2 years this was on the top of my list as like top 3 records that I wanted, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I don't really buy records on eBay, or haven't in the past, and so I couldn't find it domestically, and it goes for quite a bit of money online. But man, when I saw this, this is like, I bought some of the first Impulse records, and then they uploaded a picture of this in some new ones that they brought in, and I just hoped that it wasn't sold before I got to the store, because The Black Saint and the Sinner Lady, baby. That's for sure, without a doubt, I would call this Mingus's magnum opus. He has many brilliant records, but this is, I think, yeah, his best. It's not my favorite favorite Charles Mingus record, but damn, is it still good. My favorite my favorite Mingus record is Charles Mingus Presents, which a lot of people probably wouldn't consider that their favorite, but this is really, really, really amazing that he could, like, I just don't know how you could formulate something like that in your head. And then it was one of the first records to feature overdubbing, and but like the end result is just stunning. Not something. It's just not one of those. It's not one of those records that you can, like. I love jazz for being able to super engaging, listen it up front, and also being able to do work, spend time in my room doing whatever and having it on in the background. But Black Saint and Sinner Lady is definitely not one of those records. It demands your attention, and it's worthy of it. Last and finally, and the last record I have to show is Mingus, which is another one of his masterpieces on Impulse. The only record I'm missing is Mingus Plays Piano of his Impulse catalog, which is a really great record too. Fatback Funk talks about it in one of his jazz videos, and really turned me on to that, because prior to that I hadn't checked it out. But Mingus is kind of a reworking and re-recording of some of his earlier classic songs. He even renamed a lot of them, because part of the reason, I don't know if he wasn't happy with the versions, I think he said something along the lines that it's the versions that he always envisioned them. He just didn't have the freedom or the budget, I get, on Atlantic and Columbia to do that, and but Impulse really gave him that freedom. So yeah, like after Black Saint and the Sinner Lady, Mingus Plays Piano, and Mingus, he was just on quite a roll. But then I think he went on his European tour, and he went into sunken kind of a depression after not like a wave or something, and lots of things contributed to that. He ended up getting kicked out of his apartment. Eric Dolphy died tragically, and just a number of things that he stopped recording for a number of years until the almost like, well, the early 70s. But so it's quite a shame that, who knows, like what other great music we could have seen. Evicted from his apartment. He was going through a really horrible time. So that's it. 8 records. It's really, really great to own them. Impulse is my favorite label. I love the quality they put into the music and the packaging. The freedom they gave the musicians. They're just the epitome of what a label could and should be. Like, without executives and stuff. Like Bob Thiel, you learned that right away when he met Coltrane for the first time. at the Village Vanguard when Coltrane was ready to do his record and put out, and which would become Live at the Village Vanguard. And he really, after talking with Coltrane, decided to trust the musician, and that went a long way to, the Impulse wasn't perfect, obviously, like with that Archie Shepp and stuff. They still had their hand in, like, it wasn't completely freedom for the musicians, but for some of the musicians, but still overall, really great. And I'm glad I could share this with you guys. I'll be back hopefully soon to record some of the other stuff that I got, and in the meanwhile, take care and hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.